like a cat, it was a present from my brother. I read a lot of books, but I couldn't see between the lines. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind.
Hey, good morning, you guys.
Good morning, everyone.
And you beat us, Shmoo. You beat us. I saw you came in right into the wire.
I think it's almost a new record for how late we have started the show. Well, how late was Mark Bryan's show?
I think that might have been 20 minutes late, though. So
okay, so this one didn't touch that.
No, but we had.
But he's a big shot, you know. He's a multiple Grammy Award winner. He could have kept us waiting for an hour.
Well, you remember we kept walking him around the house trying to find the internet. That was the issue that we're having with Mark.
Well, if you remember, also much like with Jim McCormick, you know, he let us call him Mark when we were on camera, but of course when the cameras weren't on, it was Mr. Bryan. How can we get this show? Would you please start the show with us on time? And he was just, you know, being a rock star.
He was. He totally was. You know, Mark Bryan, rock star.
Oh yeah, you know.
That guy's got more attitude. Oh my God, he makes Lady Gaga seem like
nothing down
chill.
to earth about it.
No
Mark,
way.
Who doesn't wear shoes on stage, mostly appears in shorts and t-shirts, and travels with his big giant dog.
And then started
one of the most tremendous guys I ever met in my life. In fact, we were on tour with the Cowboy Mouth, and we were off on a Sunday, and he still had a house in Columbia at the time. It was early in the Hootie days. They were very successful, huge. They'd sold 20 million records, but he was still living in the same neighborhood, hanging out with the same friends from college. So he's having a barbecue. And we got the tour bus stocked full of beer and shit, you know, so you don't want to go to somebody's house empty-handed. I grab a six-pack of Corona, and I get there, and Mark says, yeah, just put them in the fridge. About an hour into the party, one of his friends looks in the fridge, and he goes, hey, Mark, what's with this foreign beer? And Mark goes, oh, Sanchez brought that. He'll drink it. The buds are in the ice chest. He's strictly drinking Budweiser.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, I worked with your former bandmates this weekend. We did a festival, and
you worked with the Buckaroo Pie Hole.
Yes, the Buckaroo Pie Hole. And all I'll
How
say
is
is that
John Thomas Griffith?
JT couldn't show. He's on vacation. So
it was a trio.
It was Fred and two guitar players. Matt was there, but then they had the fill-in guy. The guy who's filling in for Matt.
At what point is it not really Cowboy Mouth anymore? Is it just Fred LeBlanc solo band? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You
I know.
Can call it that. People know who he is.
Right.
You know,
it'd probably be just as popular as the Mouth.
Probably be just as popular.
Right.
I mean, it hasn't been Cowboy Mouth for a very long time. It's like a Vegas show version of Cowboy Mouth.
It's just not the singer-songwriter of Cowboy Mouth that it began as. It's a different version of it, you know.
Well, a band is a band. It's like the Beatles were John, Paul, George, and Ringo.
No,
That's
you're right.
the band.
No, you're right.
It's not Paul McCartney and whoever he chooses to hire, which, by the way, is Paul McCartney and Wings.
Right.
Or Paul McCartney and solo. You know, here's my band.
Yes. No, understood. You're absolutely right. Only thing I've mentioned that for, though, is to say that nowadays, because I do like Brian, the new bass player. He's a good kid.
I don't know him. I
Brian
really don't. I don't know anybody. I met Cassandra Falconer, who was one of the people who came on after me. We were watching Jamie Lynn Vessels play at a club in New Orleans, and he invited us both on stage. And there was always this awkwardness between us because I knew Fred had fed her shit about me, and she's pretty down to earth. She probably didn't believe it, but she also knew she didn't need the hassle of talking to me and getting in shit with Fred or whatever. I don't know. And so we both wind up on stage, and she walked right up to me and she whispers in my ear, "It was inevitable."
Right.
And she's, you know, a great person and a great bass player. I'm so glad that she broke the ice, you know. And but there were so many after that. Regina's somebody. She was a great bass player. She didn't want to be friends. And I stopped trying after that. You know, Jonathan and I are really friends.
Right.
Jonathan Creed is friends. And of course, Vance, who played for a while, and I've been best friends for a long time. And Cassie's great. I'm glad I got to meet her and play a little music with her. She's probably one of the best, you know, rock bass players in town.
Wow. No kidding. Well, Brian's a good kid, like I was saying, and he's actually tour managing at the same time. But he was a brewer. He's a beer maker.
He is still a brewer, right? Like he
Yes.
leaves his brewery.
Yeah. Well, I think he's during COVID, whatever, they shut down the brewery, and now he's got hired by some other company to to actually build a brewery for them on a new beer.
Yeah, I've heard I've heard really good things about him from other people.
He's a good kid.
They call him Bruiser, right?
Yes.
I've heard other friends of mine know him, and they say he's a great guy and a great player and all that kind of stuff.
He's a sweetheart.
I'm sure we'd get along,
Yeah, I have no doubt. In fact, you probably met him and liked him and didn't even know who he was because he's so unassuming. Right, exactly. Because he played with Dash and he played with Supergroup for a while. And
I almost certainly met him then.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, everybody says he's a great guy.
But my point once again was that now instead of having all this beer, they have a 12-pack of Guinness and they have some Modelo. And I laughed and I was like, "So you guys?" He goes, "Man, fuck all of that beer. I just want good beer. If it's less, it's less. If it's less, it's, yeah, I know. I just thought it was funny."
Being a brewer, he drinks Modelo.
He was drinking Modelo, yes.
Which that hurts my heart, man. My wife doesn't know anything about beer, right? So she knows it's summertime, and when I do the lawn, I like to have beer. Now, her son has kind of hipped her to IPAs and that kind of thing. So she'll bring home usually an IPA that her son's told her about, or, an Abita that she knows I like. But once in a while, she'll go out on a limb, and I'll get Stella, which is fine, or Heineken, which is fine. But she brought home a case of Modelo last week. Like, take me a while to get through this one.
I had one. I liked them. You don't like them?
I do not. To me, they're like the Miller beer for Mexicans.
Right. Right. They come in a fancy bottle, but it's still fucking Miller, right?
They just put them in ponies. I would probably like them a lot more.
Right.
Or, if you will, burros.
Right. Too funny. So let's see. Did anybody get it right this morning? I don't even know. Let me see. We had 9 after. We had 8 after. I think you guys are all wrong. Not by much. What did we start at? Like 11?
Yeah. Well, who would have known 14 minutes after or 15 minutes after? Who could have guessed that far into the future? By the way, one of our regulars, Amy Beer. Did you get her email about the coffee cups?
Oh, I didn't. But I do see her. She's on here today. She's watching.
I forwarded you an email from her.
You got to let me know when you do that because I never look at email. But go ahead.
Okay. If we could get a high-res picture of the logo.
Oh, sure.
You can
yes.
get coffee cups made.
Should we do the one that's our title thing or the one that's sort of like, what's that?
The one that's here, the one I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. But you know the one we do at the title with the 2 cups? Should we send that one?
Oh, that's a very cool. Yeah, that's the one should be.
Okay. I'll send that one.
That one's very cool.
Yeah, I agree. I'll send this one too just in case there's a, whatever, reason to have it or whatever. But I do like the...
I don't know what she had planned, and I don't know how much she's going to wind up costing us.
Well, the funny thing is it doesn't cost us anything because she's handling it, and she should take, it should cover her expenses, right? Cover whatever she needs, take whatever she wants out of it, and just send us the rest.
Her commission,
just,
her fee. And
her fee. And just send us
We're
what's
so
left.
easy. We're going to be pushovers in this business.
Oh,
man.
God. Somebody who's ready to come and take advantage of people, we're going to be so ready for them.
Brian Epstein, the Beatles manager, set the bar for that.
Right.
Because when he signed them to Parlophone Records, they got a half a penny a song from the first record through Sgt. Pepper. Half a penny a song. Then he got him a publishing deal where he signed away 60% of their publishing, and John and Paul were left to split 40%, 20% each. And being a real band, they gave 4.5% each to Ringo and George so that they would be getting some money for the song because they weren't contributing. So already they're in the hole coming out. And it's in everybody else's best interest for them to be big hit makers because everybody else is making the dough. He brings them to America, and merchandise people in America want to make deals with him. And he thinks this is a big opportunity. Beatles can clean up on merchandise. He gets so excited. He makes merchandise deals with 3 different companies. And in effect, he gives away 120% of the Beatles merchandising rights. So that every time somebody bought a Beatles product and they made $1, they owed somebody 20 cents.
Oh, my God.
They never saw the dollar. They just owed somebody 20 cents.
I didn't see, I always thought that he sold, the story I heard is that he sold the whole fucking thing for like, $100,000 or something ridiculous, and it's been a multi-billion-dollar industry.
He gave off percentages to different merch companies, not realizing that he was shrinking their percentage. And in the end, like if you bought a Beatle wig and paid $5 for it, the Beatles owed 20, 40, 60, $1 to the merchandise company.
That's insane.
It was insane.
Well, I got to tell you what's going on in the chat because you're probably not paying attention. Apparently. We're going to have the recipe share, the ACOC recipe share, it's becoming a big deal on the side. So, just to let you know, then we might have to do a
I
recipe.
think it should be part of the show,
The recipe part.
If it's
Seems
like,
to
is
be.
it one recipe a day? Is it one recipe a day?
I don't know. They just keep coming up, and suddenly they were like, because Shmoo's got a beer recipe that she makes out of Modelo.
Okay, so I guess we'll leave it like this. We'll say, here's a recipe that Shmoo's offering, and then you can look for it on the thread.
Yes.
That's probably the most efficient way to do it.
Yes. And maybe what you can do, Shmoo, is after we talk about these, just send it to me and I'll throw it in the description. Anybody who's got any recipes they want to share, I'll throw them in the description, and that way when people come and check them out, the videos or whatever, they can actually find it in the description. The recipe will never go away. It'll be on the internet forever. You just favorite it, and you can always find that damn recipe. Because the one problem I have around this house is keeping track of my damn recipes. How many times have you gone, man, I used to love that thing, and you're like, I don't know where the hell the recipe was. And so you're like, I kind of remember what went in it, and you throw something together, it doesn't taste nearly as good.
I don't cook often.
Ah, gotcha.
I grew up poor white trash, and cooking was not a big deal in our house. Occasionally, I make mean pot of red beans. I make an excellent soup in the wintertime.
Right.
Vegetable soup mostly. Sometimes I'll dip into chicken soup, but I like to keep it healthy, and I go with vegetables, Let me see if there's anything else I know how to make. Not really. Hey, I can cook pretty good. Egg in a hole is one of my specials.
Egg in a hole. Now, you mean like you make a hole in the bread and you cook the egg in it kind of thing? Or
Yeah.
okay.
You butter both sides of the bread. You take a little small water glass and you cut out the middle hole, and you put the bread on, and you drop the egg in the hole, and you throw the extra piece of bread on the side because that's a little dipping bread, and then you got egg in the hole.
Nice. All right. Sounds good. I've learned to cook a few things myself over the years, Got a few things I cook pretty good. Look, we got pecan pie recipes.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a good addition, a sidebar addition. I think that's
Yes.
great. Amy, send us your pecan pie recipe, and here comes the picture of the coffee cups your way as well.
Yes.
So,
absolutely.
Mikey,
Yep.
we're getting ready to have our guest come on.
Yeah, well, he's got probably about 10 minutes before he calls in. 5 minutes or so.
4 minutes. But I did want to mention his album again, Ted Hecko and the Thousandaires Down Below. It just got released, and it's on vinyl, which I'm a big fan of. I did CDs. In fact, my recording career began both with Jeff Black and Jealous, my first solo release on CD. They didn't do albums anymore. And Cowboy Mouth's first release on MCA Records was on CD. I wonder if any of the independent records were released on vinyl. I'll have to look that up. I would love to have the records on vinyl. They were great.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so it's great that records are back on vinyl. And this record is special for me because Ted texted me, and I'd only met him at songwriter functions. I don't think we'd played together more than once, and maybe that was because I was hosting and I sat in. But I knew him from the scene. I knew he was good. And he texted me and said, would I write a song with him? And it was at the beginning of the pandemic. So I said, well, if you have an outdoor space where we can be socially distant. So we got together, and he actually he said, I want to play you the song I want to work on. So he played me a song, and I went, well, that's a finished song. I mean, thanks for playing it for me, but that's a really good finished song. And he went, well, I just want to see if you had any input. And I said, no, that's really good. You got it.
Right.
And he goes, well, do you have anything? And I said, not really. When I write a song, I usually start it and finish it within about 45 minutes. So I don't really have stuff lying around. I said, but let's just talk, and something will come up. So we started shooting the breeze, and what do you have in common? Not much. He's a father. I'm not. And then when she mentioned having a father, I started asking him about his son. And I would mention some other topic, and he would go, well, the biggest thing for me is my son, how I raise him. I want to pass on the things that got passed on to me. And then that started becoming the lyric of the song. I was like, stop there. That's our song, that's the biggest thing right there. And so it's really charming. I'm not a dad, but I have a lot of nieces and nephews who I love dearly. And it's a really charming song about raising his son and wanting to impart how to be a good person.
No kidding. Sounds like fun. Yeah. Sounds cool.
It was lovely to do with him because the love he had for his son was it was apparent in his very being, in his face and his smiles and the things he said in the moments he got serious. Right. The love was palpable. And then to hear it on the record, beautifully delivered by his band, and with that wonderful gravitas he has in his voice. I was really pleased to have written it with him.
No
Anyway,
kidding. So and now was it kind of like a cute kind of song, or was it like a seriously heartfelt kind of song?
it's a I would say a warm song. It's delivering a message of what he wants his son to learn, but it's delivering it in a joyful and in a joyful way with a sense of humor. It's not meant to be a funny song, but it does have humor to it. You know what I
Like
mean?
Boy Named Sue? I'm sorry.
It's not comedy like that. No. That's a great song.
Yeah, it's a great song, but that's a little bit too much comedy, right?
Somebody, Chicago Lou, Paul's not a dad that he knows of. Well, let's put it this way, man. At my age, if anybody would have had one of my children, there was a brief window that could have happened in, and there was a very good reason why they wouldn't want them to know me.
Speaking of which, I saw Matchstick Men yesterday. Did you ever see that movie?
What's that?
Nick Nolte play not Nick Nolte. Nick Cage plays a him and Sam Rockwell are partners. They're con men, but he's got like
It's tough to keep up with.
I know
all of the Nick Cage movies.
I know Nick Cage is like straight to he must have tax problems because he's in all these fucking little Netflix movies you never heard of that come out like every other month.
I think he both got ripped off by his accountant and got hit hard by an ex-wife in a divorce.
Gotcha.
You know, I met him years ago on a film that my friend Mary Kornhauser had written called Zandalee. Mary's a wonderful screenwriter, teaches at LSU, and wrote for Treme HBO series. Wonderful person. And Nick, unbeknownst to me at the time, who was just a drunk, arrogant asshole. I was mean, chip on my shoulder kind of guy. And he liked musicians. Like, he's the reason Johnny Depp got to be famous, because he saw Johnny Depp's band. He's like, you should try acting. You know, you got a face and you can get into. See, Johnny Depp became an actor instead of a musician, right? So this is why I'm not as famous as Johnny Depp. Nick and I were both kind of messing. Like, I had a crush on one of the girls from California, beautiful blonde, which every production from California is required to bring to location so that you can fall in love with them. And I was taking her out and her friends and showing them the city and buying them beer. And we were in the bar, and he walked in, and he kind of waved the girls over, but not really me and my friend. And so, of course, the girls went to the movie star. Let's be honest. And then apparently in the course of them hanging out, the girls told him who I was and that I was a musician and I'm just doing this thing, blah, blah, blah. So he requested me as his driver the next day, which I realized later was to say, you know, sorry, I stole your girls, which, by the way, I had a first ex-wife at the time, so I shouldn't have been doing it anyway. Sorry, I stole your girls. And so he was trying to be friendly. And he says, you know, I really like music. I hear the Cajun Cabin is pretty cool. I said, that's on Bourbon Street. That's for tourists. I was as surly as I could fucking be because he had taken the chicks, you know. And then I find out, he was trying to be friends because he liked musicians, and you could have, you know, been the new Johnny Depp and been an actor. But my anger issues in my life have held me back in more times than that. I will say that I regretted it because it was just being rude to someone who was trying to be friendly. And that happened in 1989. And after Katrina in 2008, the Antoine's restaurant started having people play in the Hermes bar to try and help out the music scene. And I had a regular gig there, man. I was playing all the time. And Nick at the time Nick Cage was living in the Quarter. And he came in with his wife, beautiful woman. They're sitting at the table. They're 3 feet from me. They're listening to my stuff. They're being polite. They're applauding. So I take a break and I go over and I say, hey, you're probably not going to remember this, but I was really rude to you on a movie in 1989. You reached out trying to be friendly, and I snapped at you and said something about tourist music, and it was just uncalled for. And I've waited a long time to have the chance to apologize. So I'm glad you're here tonight because I want to say I'm sorry. And he looked at his wife, and she smiled and nodded, and he said, that's pretty gracious of you to take that many years to still want to apologize. Thank you, I accept. And they stayed for the rest of my set. So
nice. Nice.
I mean, I was rude to him, but I got to say I'm sorry.
Well, the neat thing about the Matchstick Men movie was it's actually one of the you know, bigger ones. It was Ridley Scott who directed it. But anyway, he finds a daughter in this thing, right? It's a con, but in it, he plays like a guy who's got tics and weird stuff like that. And his buddy actually cons him with a fake daughter. But long story short, he's developing this relationship with his daughter, and you were talking about it. It's just kind of cute, and
it's like the polar opposite of Ted's song, but
yes, the complete polar opposite of Ted's song, which has absolutely
And
nothing to
speaking
do
of
with what we're
Ted,
doing. He's here, so how'd you like to
bring
bring
him
him
on.
on out? Let's bring him on out. Good morning, Ted.
Good morning. How y'all doing?
We're doing okay this
Great,
morning.
thanks
How
a
are
lot.
you doing?
Thanks a lot for joining us, buddy.
Yeah, we're happy to
I
have
love
you.
your record. I really dig your record. Where'd you record?
I did the rhythm section recording it.
Uh-oh.
Yep, I hear him.
Yeah, you're cutting out. When you moved the phone, you started cutting out.
I won't move it again.
Hey, good. You're back.
There we are. We got you.
Look good. You sound good. So where'd you do the basics?
I did the rhythm section at the Music Shed on 2 days in early August,
Nice.
and I'm going to shut my full screen off. I was watching. I did the rhythm section at the Music Shed in early August, 2 days in a row, 2 10-hour days, and got all the rhythm section done. And then I had some guests come in at Ben Lorio's small space. Then I mixed it with a young mixer named Keenan McCrae that did a great job.
Yeah, it sounds great. Really good.
Thank you.
So that's cool. It's been out for how long? 2 weeks?
I did a release party on I think May 23rd.
Oh, wow.
It's in all the local stores in New Orleans. You can order it online. I'm kind of going to put it up on the digital streaming platforms, a song at a time this summer.
I picked mine up at the Music Factory.
Yes,
yeah,
Ted.
get them at the Music Factory.
Ted, if you want to send us any links or whatever like that, we'll play a tune at the end. But if you want to send us any links, we can put them in our description so people can go find the record if they want to go check it out.
Absolutely.
Just send us whatever you got link-wise. We have to share it with our thousands and thousands of listeners.
Oh, yeah, thousands. So, well, one day. I was telling Mikey before you came on about the song that we wrote together, and that how it was really just from a conversation about you talking about your son and the lessons you'd like to impart. How old is your son now?
He just turned 6.
Nice. Yeah. Mikey raised 3 kids, so he understands.
Yes. It's a lot of fun. So what are some of the things that we were trying to teach our son in this song?
Well, in the song, we talked about some kind of minor things like wash your hands, and I like the last verse, to trust your heart and listen to your mind. That was a cool line. One day at a time, trying to get them through the various stages of development, and different kind of questions.
Is this your first child?
First and only. Yep.
First and only, because Mikey's raised 3, and they're all adults now. They're out in the world, man.
Yes.
Well, I have a sister that's only 2 years older than me, and all of her children are adults. So I did my late.
Yes. I know a lot of people that kind of jumped in the game late, and I watched them, and I don't envy them having to run around and chase them kids. I was glad I was young when I had to run around and chase kids, because if I had to run around and chase kids now, I would be it'd be a little bit rougher. I'm not even sure I can keep up with them anymore. So
I think lack of sleep thing when they're little, you probably do that a lot better in your 20s than I could in my 40s.
Oh my goodness! I mean, it wasn't in your 20s you got a job, you're dealing with lack of sleep, the whole nine, and then you're still getting out to have a drink here and there. As you get older, even getting out to have a drink is like, am I gonna do? You know what? I could stay home and have a drink.
Well, that was the thing. Was I had just moved back to New Orleans and with my then wife, and realized we were having a kid, and I still felt like I needed to go out and have a lot of drinks and see, not get loaded, but to play and kind of reconnect with New Orleans. I've been gone for 10 years. So I did not feel like I could stay home at that time, and I felt like I really needed to try to make a scene for a while there. Well, I wasn't getting any sleep.
Right.
And eventually I had to give up on that for a little while too, but anyway.
Yeah, I don't have any grandchildren either, Allison, so I'm with you on that. I'm hoping to not have any for a long time, but we'll see how that works out.
Well, I don't have any kids, but I do have 29 nieces and nephews and like over 30 great nieces and nephews. So the family tree is prolific. I'm just not taking part.
Right.
Well, you got to get good Christmas presents then.
Yeah, right. You've lived in three of my favorite places, by the way. You're from Madison, Wisconsin, which is one of the cooler towns to stop in and play music if you're in a touring band. Because it's just, it's got a vibe, they love arts there. They love musicians. It's just, I don't know. I dug it. And then, of course, New Orleans, which you seem to love almost as much as I do, and New York, Brooklyn. You lived in Brooklyn for a while, and those are my formative years. We're back in the '80s. I'm probably a lot older than you, but back in the mid '80s in New York and playing the Brooklyn and mostly the Village, but the scene. I love those places.
Madison's a cool town to grow up in. I think it's the second largest university in the United States.
Really?
So, yeah. So that helps. Everybody that's on tour comes to Madison. And from the big people, too, I remember Genesis coming for the reunion when I was in high school. And also the university brought the gamelan orchestra from Malaysia in to play, and all the jazz people, the university finds a way to bring them. And then you're 3 hours from Chicago, so all of the blues players, you get to see all the blues players in Madison.
That's pretty great, man.
Chicago, which people may not know about here, but there's a lot of reggae in Chicago, and they all come up and play in Madison. So in high school, I got to see Buddy Guy and meet him, and Albert Collins I got to see when I was in high school already, and Johnny Guitar Watson, and Luther Allison, Son Seals, and all kinds of people.
When I was in Cowboy Mouth, we played at Red Rocks, and it was us and Buddy Guy and the Radiators. So in the backstage, we're hanging out, and there's Buddy Guy, and he was sitting with his mom, right? So he's old, but she's older. And at the time, I was collecting signatures on my guitar that whoever, I ran into had a guitar full of signatures. And so I walk up to him, and I said, hey, buddy, I have all these signatures and collected, and it just means a lot to me. Love to have you on it. And he was on the couch, and I was standing up, and he looks up at me all surly, and he goes, you ain't going to sell it if I sign it, right? Last guy I signed, he stole it. I said, oh, no, sir, I'll treasure this if you sign it. I'll hang on to it. He goes, you ain't going to sell it, right? And his mother, she was like 90. She pokes him in the ribs. She goes, boy, sign that man's guitar. And that's how I got Buddy Guy's signature on my guitar, because his mama made him.
That's awesome. Yes. So you got any gigs coming up, buddy? Anything after post-COVID?
I'm taking 2 weeks off right now. I've been gigging a lot actually, but I'm taking 2 weeks off and go visit my mother and my sisters and stuff who I haven't seen since before COVID. So I take my son. I'm armed with a couple of DVDs, Tarzan, and I think Robin Hood. I got after that.
Which Robin Hood? There's like 20 versions of Robin Hood. Like, which one do you have?
CGI kind of thing. That, I got a little DVD player in my van, and my son will be back there bugging out on DVDs. And they get rolling and, hang out at the rest stops and just drive all the way up to Wisconsin and back.
Thank God they still have DVDs, because they saved me when I was a parent, a young parent. DVDs definitely were, when you had something else to do, it was like, hey, you want to watch this movie again for the 300th time? And they were always like, yes, yes. And so, here you go. Like a little treat while I'm doing something else. Daddy's going to take care of some business now, so you enjoy this. Come watch it with me, Daddy. I can't. But just know I'm there in spirit, sweetheart. I'm there in spirit. That's
right. Yeah.
Always.
Always.
So, when are you going? This is now you're going up to Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'm going to leave probably tomorrow morning.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Been a couple weeks, and I'm playing up there, and you have audience up there. I'm playing at the North Street Cabaret. I have a local rhythm section that I put together. That'll be July 9th at the North Street Cabaret in Madison, Wisconsin.
Nice.
Then I'm looking towards doing most of my bigger stuff in the fall. We have some things on Frenchman Street and Bourbon Street and stuff, but as far as another bigger gig, it's probably gonna be in the fall.
Gotcha. Yeah, the fall seems to be the thing for me too. September and October. I feel like that old Richard Pryor skit where he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna pitch a bitch at 11:30, and you got to be home at 11:30. It's way away. You're not gonna make it till 11:30 because Dad told you had to be home by then. But everybody else, yeah, man, we waiting on 11:30."
I remember that line. I remember that routine.
Yeah, that's what I feel like right now. I'm waiting on 11:30. I'm hoping it shows up.
And so, what is it about New Orleans for you that keeps calling you back, man? You've lived here a couple different times.
I moved here straight out of high school, and then I followed a ballerina to New York in 2003, 2004. And that stay in New York ended up being longer than we expected because of Katrina, really. Been there for 2 years. And I like to say it was kind of like you go out to get the paper and the door shuts behind you and you're locked out, because we just got up there. We're going to spend a couple of years up there and check it out. And the next thing we knew, like, how do you go back to New Orleans having already moved when everything's in disarray? So that experience in New York ended up being a lot longer than we thought it would. But my sister went to Jazz Fest in '93. She's 4 years older than me. She was in college. And she told me about New Orleans Jazz Fest. I thought, I'm going to do that the next year.
Nice.
So I used to poster for a band from Chicago. They come to Madison, and before they come, this is before we had all Facebook and all that, obviously, and they'd send me one poster, and I'd print up a bunch of them and put them all over town, and then I'd come and make the hang at the gig. That was when the liquor laws were a lot less strict, too, because I'd go to the gig and sit in with them and play on stage and stuff. So they wanted to come down to New Orleans. That was '93. And so I tagged along with them down to New Orleans, and Paul Seabar came through, and they were friends with him. So we all hung out, and I got a little room at the youth hostel, and then just went to every day Jazz Fest I could, and the tickets were $9 a day, pre-order, $9. I still remember that. Send off in the mail with some address, a check, and got my tickets for every day Jazz Fest and some night concerts. One night concert I saw was Alvin Baptiste, followed by Nina Simone, who had 17 that I'd never heard of. And then McCoy Tyner was the headliner. I knew about McCoy Tyner. I wanted to see McCoy Tyner.
Oh, yeah.
Because my dad was a big Coltrane fan. But I saw Nina Simone by mistake. Maybe by accident in that way. Wasn't the worst thing, though, was it? No, but I wasn't prepped for it. I didn't know what to expect. I remember seeing Santana, I saw the Meters, I saw Dr. John. By the end of that 2 weeks in New Orleans, I realized I want to move there. So I had a year left of high school, and after that, I just took off and moved.
That's great. That's pretty great, right?
Loved it ever since. Like I said, I did the New York thing, but it was always was planning to come back. So
yeah, I lived in New York too for a while, but New Orleans was home always for me.
Yeah, I got sidetracked for a chunk of my life. I went to UNO for jazz on saxophone, and got kind of sidetracked into the jazz world for a while. But the original jazz that I fell in love with in the kid was things like Les McCann, Eddie Harris, kind of rhythm, blues, gospel infused jazz and stuff with songs that people wrote and they jammed on, not just the heady stuff. Right. So after I moved to New York, I thought, still in that mindset, I thought that I would become like a straight ahead player and kind of a saxophonist for hire. But I wasn't there more than a couple months that I was busking in Central Park, and somebody came up and said, "Hey, I know you from New Orleans. Well, let's come and play with my street band," and we did New Orleans tunes and stuff. And the next thing I know, I was singing and things like that, and I got the guitar back out, started writing, and kind of followed my journey back to which is that I'm a songwriter that plays some saxophone, plays guitar, and but I like to have I like rhythm and blues. I like jazz that's written. There's just jazz songs more necessarily than all the esoteric kind of stuff. Oh, I enjoy that song, but really my heart is with the songwriting, you know.
Obviously, I mean, Paul was saying before you came on that, you know, he heard your songs in the beginning. I mean, he said, you know, what do you need me for? You know, you're obviously a songcraft. You have the songcraft yourself already before, you know. So I know.
Telling him about the first song that you played me when I got to your place that day. I was just like, yeah, that's great. It's finished. And you were like, well,
Yeah.
I want what you thought. And I was like, oh, I think it's really good. I don't do anything to that.
You know,
That's,
I haven't done that many co-write sessions. You know, when I was a kid in my garage band, we write our punk rock songs together, but I haven't done that many co-writes. I don't really know how they're supposed to go, but with COVID just going on and on like that, just trying to reach out to different people and find a musical connection, because you don't run into anybody on the street. You can't go to their gigs. Like, let's get together. And, you know, you and I had met
at the thing, yeah.
At the songwriter round thing, and talked and enjoyed each other's company. I thought, well, here I am sitting around twiddling my thumbs. Let's get together and see what happens. And I really like the song too. It came out great.
Well, that's my favorite. You know, it's like you get together and out of thin air and conversations and openness, there's a song. You know, I thought there was nothing, and then there was us sharing, and then there was a song. And that's my favorite kind of session, you know?
Yeah. It's amazing how fast you come together when it's two people, instead of having the conversation with yourself about whether to keep that verse or not, or what the structure is. It goes a lot faster with another person, doesn't it?
Well, I like to work really fast anyway, and you were really good about that. You know, you shot ideas out as fast as I did. You had opinions as quickly and that kept us going. The song it practically wrote itself. It was lovely.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a shelf life on trying to get it done. I had 2 songs on the record that I'd never been able to finish, and I finally eked them out, wrestled them down, and then there's always some on a record that just pop out of thin air like that.
Right.
And sometimes, and oftentimes, those are the ones that work better than the ones that you wrestle down. But you can't seem to get the space in your brain for the new ones if you don't work up the challenging ones too.
No, that's true.
Like cleaning the house, make some room for new stuff in there. So
it is funny how ideas come like suddenly, you know, out of nowhere. You know, I'll have a line or whatever like that has just been with a song for 6 years, and then suddenly I'll be listening to it one day, and the right line actually comes to me, and I go, oh shit, did I record that yet? Because if I didn't record that yet, this is the new line. I mean, and it's usually like, it's like such the right line. It's like, oh my God, it's like being in a conversation with somebody and not saying what you wanted to say. And then, you know, afterwards going, shit, I wish I would have said that. God dang it. I would have sounded so much smarter if I said this, but I didn't.
No, occasionally someone says to me something, we can start talking about songwriting, they don't do much of it like a musician, like a sideman kind of musician says to me. So like, well, I don't like to write songs, but I don't like the ideas they come with. I said, that's what you got to stop doing. No editing while you're writing. Just put it out there, don't judge it. And some of those things are absolutely stand-ins for something better that's going to come along. They just fix the parts they can, and then maybe you change a couple words, and all of a sudden the thing clicks together.
You know, we've had
John.
Go ahead, Paul.
John Rankin's written with me a lot, and John Rankin's a great improviser, and he said he loves writing with me because it's like watching somebody improvise in jazz. That's how fast it comes out of me. It comes as if I was playing a solo. And to me, when somebody says, "Oh, I don't know how to song," you're like, you write 1 million songs a week in your gigs. You're playing solos. You're an instrumentalist. Then that's a song. That's melody. That's construction. That's everything you need to do. And the only thing, you know, a lot of times when I write with people, and you weren't like this because you were very confident and complete songwriter, but there's a lot of times people will say, oh, "I'm not good at lyrics," and I'll say, "Okay, well, let's look at one you think isn't good lyrics." And they'll be maybe stilted. There'll be kind of lyrics where, you know, I'm talking about I am now writing lyrics and they have to be precise. And then I'll say, well, what are you trying to say? And the person will go, well, I was trying to say this. And then they say something that's just beautiful and honest and perfect. And maybe you make a line or two rhyme, but the truth is just there. You know, that's what the great songwriting is. It's like honest conversation.
Right.
My favorite songs to write are the ones where I don't know what they're about, and I got some words that I like the way they fit together, and the more that I add to it, um, at some point I realize what I'm trying to say.
There's a great interview with Bob Dylan where they
Halfway
say,
through, and then Mike was saying that line comes through that's the right one, and then the whole thing makes sense. And you go, "Oh, I didn't know I felt that way."
Right. Like, it's almost like you're uncovering it, the song as it happens. You're uncovering it as well.
Yeah.
Bob Dylan was getting interviewed, and the guy goes, "So, be honest, Bob, what are your songs about?" And he didn't miss a beat. He went, "Well, most of them are about like 3.5, 4 minutes. Some of them are like 7 minutes, and there's even some that are like 12 minutes long."
Yeah.
Nice. Gosh, I just had a thought and I lost it. It was about your songwriting process. Oh, right. So, like, vowel sounds. A lot of times when I'm starting, it's mostly about vowel sounds and just where things happen in the melody, right? Like, what sounds am I going to use? And the words that I use usually are just a fill-in for vowel sounds that I think work well with different notes inside the melody. And I read that Bono works the same way. He kind of does, he'll do a take with the band where he's just singing vowels just to sort of get a melody, get the sounds right, and then they'll build the song around that.
Interesting.
Well, that's what you do with me, Paul. Is I remember I gave you that recording, and it's just me kind of humming and singing along, not really saying words, just making sounds. And you were like, "I think you're saying this right here," and I'm like, "Really? Okay, if you say so. Let's."
Well, years ago I was in a band with Vance DeGeneres, and Vance is a very prolific songwriter. So he'd send me completed songs with parts and everything, except for he would do that. He would mumble vowel sounds and occasionally a word or two. And I would listen hard and I would think, "Oh, that's what he's saying." I remember once we wrote a song about Catherine Deneuve, and I sent it back to him, and he goes, "That's not what I was saying at all, but I love this."
That's funny. So what are your plans, Ted? I mean, like, besides raising your son right now, what are you doing coming out of this pandemic now that everything's changing? And
well, I mean, this is a big moment, right? You're leaving tomorrow to see family.
Yeah, I haven't seen my mother in 2 years, and that's not because of
2 years.
We went last summer of 2019, and then that wouldn't have been the Christmas that I got to take him up there in end of 2019, and then the pandemic hit, and her husband isn't in the best of shape, so she's been real strict about pandemic stuff last summer. So that's been 2 years. And so my son is looking forward to it. He remembers that she does all the things from when I was a kid still, so he's looking forward to it. I feel like I did pretty well making the most of the huge amounts of time I had in the pandemic and getting this record done. So my head is focused right now on getting the word out about this record more. And then I guess the natural thing that happens for me next is I don't really write. I learn a bunch of songs. So I've been doing that, and somehow with the pandemic, I've ended up doing a lot more solo gigs than I ever used to, including some on road. I'm just taking advantage of that time to learn a lot more songs and study.
I'm kind of surprised to hear you say that you don't play a lot of solo gigs. That surprises me because I've only done the songwriter things with you, and you're so confident and so present in your material. I would have thought that it was something that you do a lot because it comes very naturally to you.
I've been definitely working up to it. But I spent a lot of years where I led in the band with my saxophone and singing in cafes in New York and stuff. And some of it would be Sinatra material or Beth Waller and things like that. And then it's like an upright bass and electric guitarist and me playing sax or clarinet. And I did a lot of gigs like that. And then starting to incorporate my original material into that. And moving back here, I had a lot more opportunities to full band drums and stuff. So I'm kind of exploring more of the rock side of things than I ever did before. And good rock and Americana songwriters. And I just have a guilty pleasure for outlaw country that never goes away. So I'm kind of exploring that too and learn some more. People love the way I sing Johnny Cash. So I think I'm going to sit down and commit another 3 or 4 of those to memory.
He's great. Randy Travis got beautiful voice.
He doesn't write, but he sure knows how to pick good songs to sing.
He was wonderful. I think he had a stroke a few years ago, and he hasn't been performing very much. But God, what a gorgeous instrument that was.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm enjoying all of that. It's fun to discover some current songwriters that are good, like George Simpson. And when you sift all that out, that guy's for real. Chris Stapleton has some
Stapleton.
amazing material.
Oh yeah. Well, who's the Sterling?
Oh yeah, yeah.
What's his name?
Gosh, I know who you're
Country guy.
talking about. Oh
He
my
slayed
gosh.
me. Not Jason Isbell, but like a contemporary of his. The guy who sat up outside the Country Music Hall of Fame for the awards night. And
Yeah, yeah. No, I know.
Simpson, right?
Sturgill
Sterling
Simpson.
right?
Sturgill Simpson.
Sturgis Simpson, is that
Yeah.
his name? I
Sturgill.
tell
Yeah.
you, man, I've tuned into his stuff a few times, and he's the real deal. I
Yeah, I
dig that
just learned
guy.
the song "Oh Sarah," and that's one of his big hits. But it's just like it's written. Every word is needed, but it's like he's talking to his wife or girlfriend. And the logic just pulls you right through. And I love that kind of song. It just sounds like he's talking when you write it out. But every
I,
word is the right one.
That's how he is, man. He's the goods, man. I really dig him.
It doesn't sound like it was written by a committee or something. It's like a real
No,
deal. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Speaking of that, writing by committee, I know exactly what you mean. Where the same thing is happening in entertainment everywhere because everybody's so afraid of a tweet or something like that. So you got a committee of people that are going through every line to make sure. All right, is this going to offend anybody, or is this going to be? How does this work? Let's talk about the sugar thing again. We're going to talk about the
which
sugar thing.
brand of beer should we mention in the song?
Right, right.
Pickup truck and on and on.
We're missing our iconic. The iconic. Where's the truck? We got to have the truck. Where's the verse of the truck? Bands
But
like
I love
well,
songs where it has a melody, has a rhythm, but when you put it on the paper, if it has an internal logic that pulls you along, like they build in an argument, and especially if you can tell, like Chuck Berry or somewhere where they went through and it's not, you don't see the same word again later and all of that. It's like everything's clean and tight, and like there's no extra stuff. Just that logic is
you know,
pulling you along.
I mean, the logic is the best way that I've been able to describe it. When I write, it's usually I'm like walking down the street or riding my bike, and I'm start singing a song, and I'll think, oh, I dig this song. Is that John Prine? Is that so and so? And then it takes me a few minutes to realize, no, I'm just making this up as I go. And then from that point, I just literally follow the lyrics and the melody to their logical conclusion.
Yeah, that'll
it
build their case.
it seems to
Let
take
the
me.
lyrics build their case.
I'm just listening to whoever's singing that to me.
I've heard James Taylor say that in an interview, like they don't feel like they're his songs. He's just the first one that heard them, and you kind of just dictate them.
That's great.
Sometimes you don't get all the pieces at once, too, and you get them later. You kind of got to wait on some of the pieces to it.
Yeah, I don't
That's
think
how
Paul
I
works that way, but I'm that way for sure. Like, I'll get 60% of a song, and the 40% may not come for a year. The last 40%, it'll just be laying around, just an idea you pull out here and there, and then all of a sudden, like we were saying, it just all of a sudden it's ready, and it says, "Hey, here I am. I'm the rest of your song," and you're like, the good thing is if you're smart enough to know that your song is, to know when your song's finished. That's the hard part, right? To know that all right, this is it, it's done, and we can move on to the next thing.
Well, I got one on the new record that I already started switching second and third verse. Now I'm thinking the second verse before the third one.
That's funny.
Yep.
Dylan did that too, though. Dylan never stopped writing. There's always new lyrics in there, new melodies for that matter.
The last time I saw him play, he was at Baton Rouge in a little venue, and he did Tangled Up in Blue, and he skipped like half the verse, and it made me feel good because I can't remember.
Really?
That is
Just
funny.
4 or 5 best verses, and
That's great.
So
That's
great. We're not going to see Bob Dylan on a teleprompter, is what you're saying. He's not going to Bon Jovi it, get on his teleprompter and make sure he's got every word right. He's going to sing whatever he feels at the moment.
Absolutely.
That's what people miss about him when they don't get him is that, and I guess I missed it till I saw him live. Is he's like Sinatra or something. He's improvising like singing. He's not necessarily adding words, but rhythmically he is for sure. He's not going to do it the same again. And if people are comparing him to the Beatles and Stevie Wonder and all that, I think they're missing the point because those are great pop songwriters. Bob Dylan is not a pop songwriter. He's popular, but he's not a pop songwriter. He's really
Right.
kind of like a jazz singer or something in his own weird way of being that. But he's doing
You
them,
know, he's
you
an
know.
artist. He's a true artist, and a true artist is not afraid to fail in public because he's going to go
Right.
where
He
he's
just
going
does
to
it.
go,
Yeah.
and he's going to dare the listeners to keep up with him. Here's where I'm
Yep.
going. Follow, you know, and
Yep.
if you don't have a fearless heart, you're not following him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Any of you guys hear
Yep.
this new pop girl, Billie Eilish, or whatever her name is? I think it's Billie Eilish, right? Isn't that her name? You guys don't know what I'm
I've
talking
only
about.
heard, you know,
Yeah.
a song. You haven't?
I haven't.
I heard one. You know, I heard the two songs she sang at the award shows, and the kid's got a lovely voice, and her brother's the songwriter, I think, and he writes a really good song. You know, but I've only heard those two songs. I did see a parent of mine post that he brought his kid to camp yesterday, and he's glad the kid went to camp, but it meant 5 hours of Billie Eilish, which to his ears sounded like 5 hours of the same song.
All right, Harry. So, like you, I haven't dug very deep into her, but on the surface, I like the lyrics. You know,
I think it's great. You know,
you know,
the two I've heard.
right. I thought what she was doing seemed interesting, but now if all of it sounds the same, that's a whole different. And of course,
I don't
it
know.
could get
I'm passing along somebody else's dad observation. That's not
right,
fair.
right. You're right. So I'm interested in seeing a little bit more about, but it's funny, some of these pop stars that come around, and every once in a while you hear one, and you're like, oh, that one seems to have talent.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, see,
Well,
Shmoo's pitching in. She says she likes her.
Well, she
I
knows
think
good
about
music.
how well history does at just sifting these things out, because we don't know the people that, even people that were huge from, say, the 40s, like nobody was talking about Robert Johnson in the 40s. And only a few people that were in the know were talking about Charlie Parker. And some of these other people that were huge are still kind of fading, like a Tommy Dorsey or Benny Goodman.
Well, you know, like
But
growing up
history's
in
judgment of those students is totally different than it would have been at experiencing at the time. And a couple of these people from this period get sifted out.
yeah, but like in when I was growing up, I learned to slow dance to Art Neville's All These Things, and it wasn't until much later in life I found out that that was only a regional hit. Like to me, there wasn't a world without Art Neville's All These Things in it. That was a classic, you know.
Right.
But I didn't know that the rest of the world didn't know it was a classic.
Yeah.
That is
That's
funny.
the crazy thing about New Orleans is that New Orleans has the self-esteem to, I don't know how to say it better than that, to be okay with having stars here that other people don't know about. New Orleans has a self-esteem that other cities don't. So this came from here, and that makes it even better. And it doesn't matter that the rest of the world's not listening to it.
One of the funny things is watching other people notice that, right, Paul? When you got bands that come in or big movie stars come in, and they think that they're going to get hassled here in New Orleans because they're big stars, and nobody gives a shit because, like you said, New Orleans has its own self-esteem. They don't need these stars to, validate them.
Well, we're different in so many ways, you know. Everywhere else in the country, especially the LA, the film people, they're so used to being asked, what do you do? How much do you make? What's the gig? We're asking like, what do you want to eat for breakfast? And while we're having breakfast, we're asking, where would you like to go for lunch? And by the way, would you mind if I had a cocktail at breakfast? It was a rough night last night. We rarely ask what somebody does for a living. We may ask where you went to high school. We really don't give a fuck what you do for a living.
Right. It's funny because you make me think we were a bunch of hobbits, Hey, it's Elevensies. We got to have, does he know about second breakfast? Second breakfast, Elevensies. What about lunch? It's always,
Anyway.
let's find something to eat here.
It's been fun talking with you, man. And I can't say enough about the album. I think it's the kind of album I love. Your voice is great. It's got real presence and real earthy gravitas to it. The songs are solid. The playing's wonderful. I wish you the best with it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on the show. It's great talking with y'all.
Hey, man, have a great trip up to see your family and hugs and love and all that kind of stuff. I'm hoping for a great trip for you. Safe travels.
Absolutely, my friend. And we're going to play out your song here in a second. I'm going to go ahead and go to a two-shot real quick with me and Paul, and we're going to announce that we got something coming up on Friday. We want to make sure everybody shows up, and we'll talk about our cups and stuff real quick.
I'll post the links in the
Yes.
chat.
Absolutely. Send me the stuff for finding the records and stuff, and then not only that, you can put this on your social media page. He'll send you the link for the thing if you want to put it up on your social media and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks
Awesome.
a lot, y'all.
Absolutely, man. You take care. Yep. All right, guys. That was fun, right?
Yeah, he's a great songwriter and a really nice fella.
It sounds like it, man. Sounds like it. So we got. I'm glad you guys. So remember the recipes, guys. Send us any recipes. We'll put them in the descriptions. What are you eating? What should I eat? Yes, at Jazz Fest, eating is a big topic. And look, Friday, you guys show up on time. We're gonna have some fun on Friday. Show up on time so we can be late, and in that way, you're just hanging out.
Surprise for you.
Is there a prize? You didn't tell me there was a prize.
Oh no, a surprise.
Oh, there's a surprise. There is absolutely a surprise, and we got to talk to Chicago Lou and find out when exactly. But I think it starts. I think it's gonna be at the beginning of the show. So you guys come and hang out. Nick Cage will be here. Yeah, Paul's driving him around all day Friday, so he's gonna come hang out with us.
Well, you know, I do a mean impersonation of Clooney, so I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. By the way, I mean, like, which Clooney? Ocean's 11 Clooney, or the Clooney from that?
George, of course, the man, the
Gotcha.
coolest.
I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to see that. We're gonna have
right,
one day put him up there doing that. So all right, we're gonna play some outro music for you guys. And obviously,
Ted, right?
Huh?
This is Ted's music.
This is Ted's music. Yep, we're gonna play Ted's song on the way out. And we will put links and stuff up and shortly, hopefully not too long, if you guys want to come back like we did for the loose cattle thing. You can come back and check that stuff out. So, and I guess we'll see you guys on Friday. Let's see what she got going on here. It's gonna be 60 right now. It's like 90. Yeah, at least you're not living in Seattle. I hear it's like 120 or something in Seattle. I'm not sure.
All right, Mikey.
All right, we'll go. I'm sorry, we're out of here.
Room, huh? Right? Yeah. Music sounds good in here.
It does sound good in here.
Something about cinder blocks.
Stop being so loud.
Mr. Galloway, 339 on the guitar. He's coming in hot. Straight off the mattress. The other day he called me, he texted it to me at 8 a.m. Texted it me.
Sorry, when you get to your age, you know
It happens. But he texted it to me at 8 in the morning about, hey man, want to go to Guitar Center? I'm like, how long has this guy been up for? I said, I'm trying to figure out. Get on board this Greyhound horse with me. Don't sit too close to the back. You don't want to smell the chemical toilets the whole way to Memphis. Take out that paperback book. Wrap your windbreaker down against it. Around it. Lean your head against that cold Greyhound glass. Turn off the reading lamp. Shut your eyelids and let the hum of that diesel engine lull you into submission. Let it seep into your bones and into your joints and into your skull and into your eardrums and into your brains. Coming along down the highway, a little something like this.
Jenna, Chad, Chris, Sharon. Pizza. What's up? What's up, pizza man? Pizza maker? Miss you, brother. I see you. Jenna, love you. Chad, what's up, brother? Chris, what's up, brother? Sharon, miss you playing with you. Tina, miss you. Micah Johnson, miss you, brother. Jennifer November, miss you. Nina, what's up, baby? Kurt Brighton, what's up, brother? Nina. Matthew Trejon. Justin Johnson, Mr. Johnson, what's up, brother? Juan Gomez, what's up, man? Paul Martinez, what's up, baby? East. Grenoble, what's up, brother? We got to play together, man. This is ridiculous. Hi, Mom. Hi, Megan. Mitchell, thank you. I changed it. Jared, what's up? James, what's up? Jeff. Pratt. SCV. Neil, SCV. Michael Rogers, what's up, baby? Eric B. What's up, baby? Mark, what's up, man? What's up, Rick? Betsy. D. Lindsay. Kristen. Claire. Brian J. in the place to be. I was just talking about you last night. Like, get it, baby. Get it, baby. Lord have mercy. Gail Davidson, hi, what's up, baby? Dave Leon, what's up, man? Phil Frazier, what's up? Willie Campbell, man, we got to play together again, man. This is ridiculous. Mari, what's up, baby? All right, we're going on break. Love y'all. Peace. I'll go live on the second set. Okay. Love you.